Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the conclusions for the Ukraine war for the past 24 hours, I would say. And this is the latest mapping. This mapping is up to the latest information. So I do have the latest information on screen right now. And but of course I'm going to talk about the general trend because this is the conclusions. For those that are not aware is me talking more on analysis and opinions about what is currently happening in the Ukraine war right now. And I think the biggest thing is this grand Russian offensive that is currently ignited over in this line over here, the Donetsk front. And this is a pretty big one. This is not the only offensive that the Russians is currently engaging, but this is the newer one. This is one of these surprise one where the Russians took a lot of grounds. So in particular, the Russians are launching a major offensive. So I got to put it in this way so that we can see everything. So the Russians are going for Shetatsky, Novoyukrainka, Bohovivlenka, and yeah, and this is the main objective. If the Russians confirmed to have captured Zoloteneva, they are pushing northward with a lot of captures around here, and they're pushing for Novoyukrainka as well. They have basically reached the outside, just next to they're basically just outside of Bohovivlenka right now, like literally just outside of the town, or I'm not sure if you want to call this a city. I think it's a town. And then there's also another massive capture west of Boyeda, and it looks like there is this final objective in this region is probably Uspenivka. I think this is the prime objective. The Russians could potentially go for a flanking movement down this tree line towards Dane, which the Russians are currently attacking towards as well. So on top of this, the Russians are of course still pushing Antonivka, Katerinivka, Yelizavetivka, and there is also Vasily High and Trudove also mentioned in the latest reporting as well. So the Russians are making massive pushes all across the entire front line right now, and this is very worrisome. If you're pro-Ukrainian, I believe that you should be very worried of what is to come, because I don't think the Ukrainians are ready for this at all. Like they seems to be caught by surprise by this, especially the one over here. The one over at Shetatsky, Novoyukrainka, seems to be much bigger than they expected, and they didn't seem to be prepared for this. And even when they are prepared for this one over at Bohovivlenka, it seems like they are unable to stop the Russians at all. And then we have this flanking movement that could potentially just ignore the whole chain of settlement, and they go straight for basically go straight for Uspenivka. This could be a disaster for the Ukrainians, because once you have Uspenivka, which is the major hub around here, major transport hub around here, the whole chain of settlement here will become irrelevant and or encircled, because Bohovivlenka is likely to fall before the Russians reach Uspenivka as well. So there's a lot of bad tactical situation on strategic situation that's currently developing for the Ukrainians right here. So this is one of the big ones, one of the big concerning things, the main things that's currently happening. Of course, the other one is the Russians drawing an elephant around here. So this is an elephant, and you know why an elephant? Because they are Russians, they are pro-Trump, so they draw the mascot for the Republican Party. This of course not my idea. This actually someone told me that it's actually a symbolism of the Republican Party. They're sending a message. So yeah, so maybe that's true. Who knows, man. But whatever. But in reality, the Russians are going down the railway line towards Vishneve. They have taken the entire south of Selidove. They also already taken the eastern part. So I think more than 1/3 of Selidove is now lost to the Russians, and they also make a massive push for Novodimitrivka, capturing a lot of grounds on the west of Sukhorine, which is over here. And so this is very scary as well. They would say that if because now because I don't want to just say put in the perspective of the Russians. Clearly, is fantastic for the Russians. It's just good news. So I want to put myself in the seat of the pro-Ukrainian side And I just want to say this is horrible. Like everything is horrible. There's no good news here. In Selidove is particularly concerning. The city of Selidove currently for the Ukrainians, all the roads out are gone except for this one. This is the only road of life here, and across there's a river around here. I want to change to the mapping, where you can actually see so you can see it is entire river here. This is entire river, the Solona River, and there's actually only 2 crossings right now. There is only one bridge around here and another crossing here. That's it. And if you look at the situation right here, the entire Ukrainian force that is in the south is now in danger of losing the way out, and they have to retreat right now. They have to cross the river and defend in the north. And however, they only have one road to retreat out, and going towards Horivka. And this is the only way out. And the Russians are already closing in. And this mapping here, the Russians that was geolocated here was multiple days ago, which means that the Russians could have already advanced in this area here, and they could potentially just cut off this final retreat route. So this is how the entire Selidove region is extremely vulnerable right now. The Ukrainian forces that is defending all of the city is now in danger. The retreat, they have to retreat or they have to counterattack, at least hold back. They have to do a counterattack across this northern flank, this northern flanking operation. They have to stop the Russians in this area here and keep the retreat and resupply route open if they still want to fight at Selidove. So this is a priority. The south is in danger because the Russians are already at the Vishneve. They could easily just punch and cut off this bridge, which is most likely gone. The bridge from the Russian position is merely less than a kilometer. It's only 700 meters. So even a heavy machine gun would range the bridge. So so this is gone. That means the Ukrainians only have one bridge to use. This is the only bridge that the Ukrainians can use to get across to the northern side. And the Russians are closing it. Very, very close. The Russian position is merely 500 meters away. Very, very close. So the Ukrainians are definitely going to lose Selidove at this momentum. I think there is no other way out at this moment, unless there's some miracle happen, like Captain Ukraine dropping down from the sky using the shield and fight that for them, which is probably also not enough. They probably need Superman. So which Superman will probably not take sides in this war, I would say, because this is not United States. But anyway, so the situation is particularly bad right now, and my worry for the troops is that the Ukrainian troops is that they may not actually know that they are now on the verge of encirclement. This is my biggest fear, because the Ukrainian command, if they do not try to save the soldiers, the troops, and they just going to keep the order for them to continue to fight on, then they did not tell them that they need to withdraw because they want to hold off. They want to drag on the fight for as long as possible, and they don't want to inform the soldiers, and if the soldiers are too busy or have no internet access, they may not actually realize that they are now on the verge of operational encirclement. This is, the biggest fear for the soldiers that's on the ground. For me, it's that I don't want the war to be happening. I don't want people to die unnecessarily, and I care for the soldiers on both sides, and I just don't want people to die unnecessarily. On that note, also, I also want to send my condolences to Jose. So we have a DPA within our DPA community. There is actually a member called Jose Robert. Apparently, so I personally did not know who is he until I was informed by the head mod for the DPA's Discord server. So one of our fellow DPA army member who was actually fighting on the Russian side. He's part of the 110th Donetsk People's Republic Storm Brigade. Which is there's some of these photos from him. He was fighting over in Krasno Horivka. So the last information that we had was that he was in the middle of Krasno Horivka, and it was last seen over there in Krasno Horivka, and And then that was at a time where the Russians were taking the main part of the city, quickly moving forward towards the northwest. And that was the last time that he was in having any information. So my condolences to him. Which is why I wrote rest in peace, because yeah, I don't take sides. No, I have no Ukrainian supporters. I have pro-Ukrainian supporters. I have pro-Russian supporters. I have Russian supporters. No, I just want this war to end. And somehow, unfortunately, one of our DPA members died in this war. And yeah, I fear that he will not be the last. There is probably more soldiers that is following DPA, and this is the reality. So despite that, we are looking at all this like, it's like a sport. It's like I'm analyzing a football game. But the reality is that every day thousands of people are dying on both sides. So yeah, I just want to highlight this point. It's a bit of a disappointment that people continue to die, and yeah, the politicians refuse to make a deal. That's just what it is. The Russians are also currently still pushing towards Pokrov, but tentatively they are kind of stuck in this MKK region, because due to the previous Ukrainian counterattack in this region here, the Russians are currently counter attacking back against the Ukrainians over in the Mykolaiivka, Krasnaya Krytia region. The Russians are also not stopping just here. They are still pushing for Promin. They are pushing Sukia and Lysivka. However, it's just that they are stuck around this MKK region that is currently protecting Minohrad over here. So Minohrad is over here. Yeah. So so this is the current situation in the Pokrov sector of the Pokrov front. Otherwise, let me see what are the other significant situation. The Chasiv offensive is becoming a dud. As I would say as I expected. I expected the Russians to not put any focus on Chasiv because it's just a pointless place to take at this moment. Somehow the Russians seem to have made some massive progress previously, and all these captures and attacks, and then suddenly it just went all quiet. It was a diversion, apparently. I'm not sure. For offensive to suddenly stop means it's a diversion. I'm quite sure Ukrainians send reinforcement and they'll try to quickly hold this line. And then Russians just stop. The Russians just stop attacking. There is no more fighting. Only sporadic reports of fighting at Chasiv. And yeah, there is no offensive right now. The main offensive is over at the Donetsk front here. Some other major situations that are currently happening in Ukraine. Of course, the battle of Kursk is currently ongoing. There's no news regarding that. The Russians are also continuing their consolidation of the Zerabets River, and with the latest, the capture of Nevsky confirmed, the capture of Novosadove confirmed, and the Russians are now pushing for Terny. And this is particularly bad for the Ukrainians because the Russians have now entered from the north, from Novosadove, which is not supposed to be fallen to the Russians, and now they are entering to Terny, while the strong Ukrainian defense is actually facing east. The Ukrainian defense, they are very strong at defending towards the eastern direction because the Russians have been failing to make grounds from the east. But now the Russians are coming from the north, and this is bad. So this is Terny might be in big danger right now, and yeah, I'm not sure how the Ukrainians going to deal with this at this moment as the Russians continue this operation to secure the entire of the Zerabets River, which is going to continue on down to Kursk. So otherwise, further up north, I think the entire Zerabets River is fully secured by the Russians. So that's the current situation. Borova seems to be one of these target, but tentatively, I think it's a secondary target. The Russians are pushing at Vishnevy and Peshtravnevo, and also there was fighting reported at Zeleny High. The last was only on the 23rd, which is around 2-3 days ago. So the Russians are definitely eyeing Borova. So, but tentatively, this is a bit far. Too much entrenchment around here is going to be very, very slow. I think the current situation for the Russians is to focus on Kursk. I think this crossing over here is the main focus. And the battles are going on. There's no updates since quite a number of days ago. So I'm not exactly fully sure what's the latest situation. There is only fighting reported here, nothing else. And there is also some weird situations coming out in the Sinkivka region. So the Russians seems to be pushing really hard around the Hulubivka region. And there is also now fighting in the latest information, fighting reported at Kindrashivka region. And fighting, of course, was previously fighting at Kusherivka. Fighting was reported at Petropavlivka. Latest information we have fighting reported at Sinkivka, which might be the Ukrainians have retaken some positions. That could be possible. So Kupiansk is definitely feeling the heat right now. The Russians are really near. So this is the current Kupiansk situation. Nothing significant talk about Kharkiv. So in the Kursk front currently is pretty intense. The Ukrainians are definitely prioritizing the Kursk region over Ukrainian land at this moment. Unfortunately, this seems to be the case. Even at a lost sector, like Rushkovo sector is basically gone. It's a lost case. But the Ukrainians are counter-attacking at Novi Put. They are currently doing offensive operations at Novi Put. They're trying to punch through, and they got deterred for 2 days consecutively right now. So 25th, 26th. The previous attack was on the 13th of October. So you can see the previous attack was 13th of October. These 2 days, the Ukrainians are trying, and they are not succeeding right now. And I have no idea what the hell are they going to push for Novi Put. What's the point? So the Ukrainians are also conducting offensive operation in the northern flank. Fighting was reported at Pogrebki as well as Kamishevka. They are doing offensive operations when the Russians are making massive push along the western flank from Novo-Ivanovka all the way to Nikolaevo Darino, which is the latest information. The Russians are pushing across the entire front line. Ukrainians are counter-attacking and resupplying and holding back the Russians in multiple sectors, mainly around the Novo-Ivanovka, Zelenishak, as well as the Nizhyn region. Basically, this circuit region, this is where the Ukrainians are concentrating their defensive operations at. And somehow they have the resources to go on offensive operations. So it's really bizarre how the Ukrainians are conducting the war over in the Kursk front. Whereas in Ukraine, like in Ukraine itself, clearly you see I'm not pro-Russian, because if I'm pro-Russian, I would say this Russian land, because it's already annexed. But yeah, in the Ukraine itself, they are not defending. They are losing grounds constantly. This is a lot of ground they lost. This piece which I mapped is 4.38 kilometers. This piece here is 5.86 square kilometers. 21 square kilometers in the north of Zolota 21 square kilometers. So I'm not sure what the hell is the Ukrainians doing, and it is kind of bizarre. So anyway, this is the conclusion. Hopefully you like it. I haven't been doing this quite consistently because I haven't figured out the scheduling because I think the previous scheduling I have changed, and I think that is maybe not working as well as I wanted. So I'm going to try something new again. Then especially now I'm concentrating all Ukrainian reporting on the main channel, because I want to push the channel to 100,000 subs as soon as I can. So do help me subscribe if you're not subscribed. Help to support the channel, because it's the Ukraine war sector. This market size is too small, so I have to have more subscribers in order to compete. Unfortunately, that seems to be the case. So this market is not getting bigger. So I have to keep concentrate, get the silver plug, and hopefully YouTube will treat DPA fairer. And then all the other news I'm pushing to the secondary channels like DPA News, DPA War, and of course check out the DPA Open Mic, which will be happening later or right now if you're watching this later after my recording. So anyway, thank you for watching. Hopefully you like the conclusions. Let me know if you want me to do this more often, daily or something. My plan is to do daily, but might be sometimes I'll mix in different kind of analysis, and I'll see how it goes. So anyway, thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe. Have a great weekend. It's a Saturday. I had a great Saturday, so I hope you have a great Saturday and Sunday too. And I'll see you guys in the next update.